Hello, and welcome to Legislative Update with Ryan McKenzie. Each month, Congressman McKenzie will be taking the time to talk about his work representing the people of the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos. We hope you'll tune in now and in the future for wide-ranging discussions about Congress, current events, and our community. Now, I'll turn it over to the Congressman.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us. This is a great opportunity that we took advantage of for years while I was state representative, probably over a decade, where we did legislative report as state representative. It was a great opportunity to discuss issues that were going on in Harrisburg and also what was happening in our local community. And so that's what we're going to be doing on this show again. Now as a U.S. Congressman, we have the opportunity to represent the entire Lehigh Valley. So everywhere from Lehigh, Northampton, Carbon, and even part of Monroe counties. And we're going to be talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C. on the legislative front and also issues important in our local community.
Beautiful. Well, let's kick things off. Congressman McKenzie, since taking office in January, what steps have you taken to stay connected with the people you represent?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, as soon as we got elected, we set about opening 4 district offices throughout our local community. They're very accessible. So there's one in suburban Lehigh County, one in downtown Allentown, one in Northampton County, and then one up in Carbon County that services Carbon and Monroe. And so nowhere in the district you should probably be more than 20 or 30 minutes away from a local office. And so that's very important because so many people in our community, when they need help with constituent issues, there may be things that you can handle in the phone or email, but at the same time, there are many instances where you need to bring in actual hard copy documentation to a district office. And we have staff at each of those locations, regular office hours, where you can drop in and receive assistance with any kind of federal matter. That could be Social Security, Medicare, immigration-related issues, passport issues, all different kind of things, even relating to the VA and benefits for our veterans. So anything related to the federal government, if you need constituent services, stop into one of those offices. One of our constituent services teams is always on hand to be able to assist. But beyond that, they've been doing great work. Once those offices were up and running, so far we've closed over 2,000 cases, returned over $9 million to constituents through those services in our local district offices. We regularly answer tens of thousands of emails and phone calls on a regular basis. We try to get back to as many people as possible. When they do have legitimate issues, those are the things that we want to help assist with in these district offices. So please stop by anytime, and otherwise you can always visit us at mckenzie.house.gov. Online, there's a whole host of information about the different services we provide, and you can see that at any time.
That's great. Next question. One of the leading concerns for local residents when you came into office was the cost of living. On that note, you've proposed legislation that would deliver tax relief to working families here in our community. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you proposed?
Yeah, well, again, you are correct in saying that this is a top issue for many people in our local community is affordability. And I share that concern, and so that's why the first package of bills that I introduced as congressman was the Working Families Tax Package. And it had a couple different components. Would have increased the child care tax credit. That was set to go down actually to $1,000. There was an amount that was going to expire if we didn't do anything. So that was something that was high on my priority list. And then there were things like expanding child care opportunities in our local community. Expanding paid family leave is something that I'm a big supporter of. And also there is an adoption tax credit. We were hoping to expand that to include IVF as well. So those were 4 different ideas that we introduced, all relating to the tax code. And that's because we knew there was going to be a big push for what they call reconciliation. And that includes all budgetary related items, so taxing and spending items. So in these 4 areas, we had different proposals we put out and wanted considered as a part of reconciliation. We were able to actually get some of those things done. For instance, the child tax credit, which again was going to go down to $1,000, was now actually increased. It's going to be $2,200 per child, and it actually will increase with inflation going forward as well. So that's a big benefit for working families in our local communities.
That's great to hear. Speaking of taxes, the House recently passed its budget, the One Big Beautiful Bill, which includes some really important tax and spending changes. Could you tell the viewers a little bit more about what was in that bill?
Yeah, so I mentioned those things for working families. critically important. Obviously, more work still needs to be done, so we're going to continue to fight for increased benefits going forward for working families. But other groups that were able to receive benefits in the One Big Beautiful Bill, seniors, for instance, will receive a significant increase in the bonus deduction when they go to file their taxes. So for a single senior, it's $6,000 bonus deduction that is going to be included because of One Big Beautiful Bill, $12,000 for a couple, a senior couple, and then that does phase out for higher income individuals. So it's really going to help those seniors that are struggling the most. But that's pretty significant because 88% of seniors will now pay no federal income taxes on their Social Security. So a real win for our local seniors. There are lots of other benefits for individuals who are tipped individuals. If they work in a field, whether it could be a haircutter, landscaping, bartender, server at a restaurant, taxes on tips, now federal income taxes on tips, will be exempt for the first $25,000 of tips. Pretty significant. So that means about $1,700 coming back into the pocket of tipped workers on average. Then beyond that, overtime workers, so nurses, firefighters, police officers, or anybody else working overtime, they're going to see the first $12,500 of their overtime is exempt from federal income taxes. Again, that works out to be about, because it's a different classification, obviously they have overtime benefits, but that's significant savings, about $1,700 as well in some of the estimates that I've seen. And so that's money that's going back into the pockets of working individuals across our community, tipped individuals and overtime workers. And then for everybody, there is an increase in the standard deduction. So no matter if any of those other benefits apply to you or not, everybody will receive an increased standard deduction when they go to file their taxes in April of 26 for tax year 2025. So again, everybody will see more money back in their pockets. And then the final thing that I would just like to, I think it's important to note, is that the tax rates that we were able to lock into place and make permanent for all of these individuals, they were set to actually expire and go up. And so if we hadn't done anything, there would have been an over 20% tax increase for most taxpayers. So we were able to avoid a major tax increase on everybody and also offered those new benefits because we know people are struggling in our local communities with affordability.
And this bill makes some other changes as well. It invests in infrastructure, right? Airports and our military and border security as well. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, when we think about the things that we want the federal government to be doing, protecting our country and our border is a top priority for many people. And so this bill included over a 10-year time span, $150 billion of funding for border security and increases for Homeland Security in our local communities. I know that Homeland Security right in our local area in the Lehigh Valley is often working on sex trafficking cases, for instance. And so making sure that they have the resources they need so they can continue their work is critically important. And Homeland Security across the spectrum, all of their work will receive increases in funding. So that's a positive thing. Then on the military side, we've received and put forward an increase of $150 billion additional money for our military. So the Navy and Coast Guard will see increases in funding for shipbuilding. Individual officers are going to see benefits in terms of improved housing and quality of life increases. So these are things that are critically important if we want to keep our country and our communities safe. And then there are other things that we've been talking about making investments for years. You brought up infrastructure. This bill includes an additional $12.5 billion for air traffic control modernization. We know how important it is to have safe skies and airways, and so that's something that people have talked about for a long time. Never been able to actually get it done, so this legislation includes that increase.
Excellent. Well, we've heard a lot about changes to Medicaid and SNAP programs as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Could you walk the viewers through what those changes look like in practice?
Sure. Well, Medicaid is a very important program that is utilized by a lot of people in our local communities. And the traditional populations of Medicaid are low-income seniors, people with disabilities, pregnant women, children. Those are kind of the traditional populations that have been able to benefit and receive services through Medicaid. The Affordable Care Act passed a number of years ago. It greatly expanded the program in many instances. And so now that eligibility is no longer in those traditional categories that I just mentioned, but it's expanded to include all individuals just purely based on income. And so that is a significant change and shift in the approach of that program. It's made it such that in Pennsylvania, Medicaid is now, because of that growth, the additional people that are in that program, it's the single largest program in Pennsylvania's state budget. And that's important to note because Medicaid is something that is jointly funded through federal government subsidies and revenue, and also state taxes go into the program as well. And so it's a joint program, joint state and federal program. But because of those increases, it's now the single largest program in Pennsylvania's state budget. It's also significantly growing in the federal government, and there was really no way to pay for it in the Affordable Care Act. And so that increase in the size of and eligibility roles has crowded out lots of other programs and made budgeting very difficult. And so one big thing that we did in the One Big Beautiful Bill was to actually make sure that we can offer those benefits for that traditional population going forward. So the long-term longevity and viability of the program is in place. And so what we did was we implemented a common sense work requirement for able-bodied working adults who are now included on Medicaid. They will have to meet those same requirements that other human services already had in place. And so things like SNAP and TANF, those different benefit programs had work requirements in place, but in the expansion of the Affordable Care Act, they never included one. So this legislation goes back and puts in place, again, a common sense work requirement that'll be implemented in about 2 years' time. People can either have a job and be working full-time, they can be in a training program, or they could even volunteer for 20 hours a week. But so that information will be coming out in the coming years, where people can learn about eligibility, what they would like to do if they would like to stay in the Medicaid roles, how they would maintain their eligibility. But it's a little down the road, so plenty of time for people to understand what this change may mean for them.
Terrific. Well, thank you for walking us through all of that. We just got to the August recess, and you have spent the last month in the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos talking to your constituents, having a lot of meetings, a lot of events. Could you just tell the viewers a little bit about what you've been up to for the last month in the district?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a terrific opportunity to attend so many local community events. We were able to visit and volunteer at a food pantry. We were able to do a roundtable with the agriculture community, meet with some local veterans, do some things with law enforcement. So all kinds of great opportunities to be out there engaging, answering questions in public settings, and attending local events. And so all of those things help inform the work that we do when we're legislating in Washington, D.C. So lots of events, lots of activities. And you had mentioned SNAP, and when we talk about food insecurity nowadays, visiting a food pantry, it was really helpful to see and understand because I've volunteered at those locations in the past in different ones, but to see and understand how the nature of their work is changing. And so the changes that we included in SNAP in the One Big Beautiful Bill are really important because we want to make sure that those benefits are getting to the people that need them. And so what we did was we implemented a change based on how many errors your state system has or experiences. And that's important because unlike Medicaid, which we already talked about, SNAP is 100% federally funded, but then administered at the state level. And so it's really critical that the state administers the program properly to make sure money is getting out and benefits are getting out to those individuals that need them. The way that we measure an error rate is in 3 different categories. First is somebody eligible or are they ineligible? And if they're getting paid when they are not eligible, that would be an error. The second thing is, are they receiving more money than they should have in the calculation for their benefits? That's a problem if we're overpaying individuals. And then third is underpayments. That would be a problem as well. If somebody is eligible and they are determined to receive a certain amount of money, if they are not getting the benefits that they deserve, then that's a problem as well. And so those 3 components make up the error rate. The common metric that people want to use or target is 6% or less. Is deemed an acceptable error rate, and no system will be perfect. So that gives some leeway to the states to make sure that they're getting the benefits out, but also running an efficient program. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania has had an error rate. 2 years ago it was around 16 or 17%. Last year it was 11%. So that's money that is going out through this system, but not actually getting to the individuals that are the intended recipients of the benefits and those individuals that really need them. And so the way the change in the program works is if your state is below 6%, there is no change at all. But if your state has an error rate over 11%, over 6% and 11% in Pennsylvania's case, then the state would be on the hook for some of that funding. And so that's the way to incentivize the state to run an effective and efficient program like so many other states around the country. So hopefully Governor Shapiro and Pennsylvania will be able to improve the efficiency of their program, and that's something that we want to work with them on to make sure that those benefits are getting to the people that need them.
Well, that's really valuable insight, Congressman. Thank you for walking us through the details of that. I know one thing that people want to know when you're out and about talking to constituents, what is the number one priority that you hear from constituents, the number one issue?
Yeah, we've talked about it throughout the course of this show. It is affordability and cost of living. And so we're fortunate to live in a part of the country and a part of Pennsylvania that is seeing growth. People want to move into the Lehigh Valley because of the benefits that it offers. So there are oftentimes jobs in a variety of different industries. There is housing that is comparatively and relative to other parts of the country more affordable than if you're coming from New York or New Jersey. It's still expensive, but if you're coming from other higher cost of living places, it is relatively or comparatively more affordable. And so we do see an influx of people coming into our local community. And then also all of the natural benefits. We have beautiful park systems, lots of entertainment and restaurant opportunities and things like that. So it's a very attractive place to live. So that means that more people are coming into our local community. But that also does place a strain on things like infrastructure and housing. And so we've seen significant increases in the cost of housing and living in our local communities. And so it's really important that we find ways to actually, in addition to just putting money back in people's pockets through tax changes, which is the most direct thing that the federal government can do. I mean, the most direct impact we can have on individuals' personal finances is looking at the taxation. But then beyond that, the other things that we can do somewhat indirectly relate to energy and to housing and healthcare in the sense that we can try to make changes in the market and the way that the market is maybe structured or the rules of that market. And then those participants in that private sector part of the market will hopefully make changes accordingly. So for instance, in the housing space, in the One Big Beautiful Bill, we were able to increase and expand opportunities for low-income tax credits, housing tax credits. I know that's something that some have used in our local community to make new housing projects that increases the number of apartments on the rolls and available to people in our local community. But again, positive change, definitely, but there's still more work to be done in that space. We definitely see the cost of living is too high, and so we have to figure out what are the additional things that we can do to expand housing opportunities and other things to bring down the cost of living.
And since you brought up housing, obviously this is a big issue in the Lehigh Valley especially, but also in parts of the Poconos as well. Increasingly, we're seeing higher housing costs over the last 5 years. Could you mentioned one solution that's in the One Big Beautiful Bill, the low-income housing tax credits. Could you talk about some of the conversations that you've been having with local residents, maybe realtors and stakeholders when it comes to this housing issue? Yeah,
so we've held 2 roundtables since I've been in office. One was a larger discussion with different stakeholders in the real estate and housing ecosystem, and then one was directly with realtors. And so in both instances, the number one issue we heard about was local permitting was a challenge for people looking to either build houses, redevelop existing and old buildings, or even do larger scale new developments. And so in both of those instances, they said local government permitting was a huge hurdle for them. And it's such a patchwork across our Lehigh Valley with all the different municipalities and local governments. And so that's something that, again, It's not directly a federal government issue, but we do want to try to figure out, is there some way or something we can do to encourage and help local planners reduce that challenge on people looking to increase the housing stock available in our local communities.
Very good. Well, I have one more question for you, Congressman. You started off the show mentioning that this is a program that you did as a state representative in Lehigh County, and now you're bringing it back. This is your first edition as a congressman. I think people would be interested to know, what are some of the biggest differences that you've seen going from a state representative to a member of Congress now?
Well, certainly the size and scope of the federal government is quite different than our Pennsylvania state government. So you're talking about probably 100 to 150 times larger in terms of the federal budget and federal expenditures. So that's a big change. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes on at the federal level from defense and foreign affairs that we weren't dealing with at the state level, and those are significant costs. So that's been a big change, is just the magnitude and the size and the scope, but that's why your committee assignments are very important here at the federal government level. You get to focus on those things that you have a knowledge base or an interest in and really dive deeper, as opposed to kind of being a generalist across everything in federal government. And so I've been fortunate to be assigned to 3 different committees: Education and Workforce, Homeland Security, and Foreign Affairs. And so on the Education and Workforce Committee, that deals directly with issues that I've worked in the workforce development space my entire career. And even as a state representative, I was the Republican chair for the Labor and Industry Committee in Pennsylvania. And now, in my first term, I was appointed to be the subcommittee chair on workforce protection. So that oversees things like OSHA, FMLA, wage and hour issues here at the federal level at the U.S. Department of Labor. So it's been an easy transition in that space, but then expanding into things like Homeland Security, making sure, again, that we have safe borders and safe communities, and foreign affairs. There are so many conflicts around the world that need our attention, and so being on that committee helps me be on the front lines of dealing with those issues. So that's been the big change as far as the work goes. The other things I would just talk about in passing that we can certainly talk about on a future show are the importance of confronting China. In so many different areas, we see that we are in direct competition with China, whether it's not just economically, but militarily. There are so many things that are going on that need our attention there. And then also the second thing that's been a real hot topic and really permeates across so many different things is the importance of American energy and energy dominance in that space. And that could be coming in a lot of different ways, but we want to make sure that we have the energy not only to have affordable, reliable, clean energy for individual users and businesses in our local communities, but if we want to power the technology of the future, things like AI, artificial intelligence, requires a lot of energy, and so making sure that we have those resources available is really not just an economic interest, but a national interest as well, and something that we are going to be focusing on here in federal government, I think, for a number of years going forward.
Excellent. Well, Congressman, we'll just bring this conversation full circle now. Could you just leave off by letting our audience know, once again, where they can find more information about our office services, a little more information about the services that we do provide, and when they might need the services of a congressional office?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think shows like this are going to be a great opportunity as we go forward. People can provide feedback about additional topics they'd like to see us discuss in greater detail. We'll be talking about what's going on in Washington from a policy and legislative front, but also if there are things in our local community that people would like us to come out and see or visit, that's what we did on the previous shows as well. So all of those things are open for discussion going forward, so we appreciate everybody's feedback. As far as if they want to contact us at any time, the easiest and fastest way is through our website at mckenzie.house.gov. That website, not only can they contact us via email or a message, but they can also get all the phone numbers so they can contact any of our district offices during normal business hours, and so they can do that as well. And then, again, there is information about the 4 district offices that I talked about. They can stop in there anytime if they have any need for constituent service help with anything relating to the federal government. We encourage them to stop by. We have a great team in place who does a wonderful job with constituent services, and so we would encourage them to stop in anytime as well. But in all of those ways, it's a great resource, great way we can connect with the local community. Also, they can go on our website at mckenzie.house.gov and sign up for regular notices and email and communication. So we have an email list that we regularly send out communications to about things that we're working on in Washington, D.C., local events that are coming up that we're going to be at that we can engage with people at, all different things. So encourage people to sign up for email communications as well so that they can stay up to date, not just by visiting the website once, but proactively receive contacts and communications from us as well.
Terrific. Well, Congressman, I appreciate it. I know that you and your staff will be ready to listen to all of the feedback and the questions that we get from this and the other work that you're doing. That concludes this edition of Legislative Update. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you tune in next month for another show. Remember to follow us on social media, as the Congressman mentioned, and to subscribe to our newsletter by going to mckenzie.house.gov. And Congressman, you have the final word.
Well, it's such an honor and a privilege to represent everybody across the greater Lehigh Valley. Not only during my time as state representative was I able to make positive changes legislatively and for constituents, but now we get to do that for everybody across the greater Lehigh Valley. And so really enjoy it, and anything that we can do to be of assistance at the federal level, I encourage people to reach out anytime, not only so we can help at the constituent issues, but also we'd love to hear their feedback so that we make sure that we're making informed decisions about what's going on legislatively, not only for the whole country, but also for the greater Lehigh Valley.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman.
Thank you.